In the subsequent video, I'll demonstrate the same sort of strategy of using isometrics or bumps for both the squat and the deadlift. That's all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and hope to see you again next time. To work on strengthening my bench press and my sticking point, I have the bar set up with a weight I know I can lift but have some difficulty with. I have the safety bars set so if I can't control it, the bar will just rest lightly on my chest and it can slide out from underneath. My plan on this one, since it's the free weight, not the Smith machine, which controls a lot of the motion and removes some of the requirement for the stabilizing muscles, is to get the bar down to my chest and push it to a little bit off the chest, 2 or 3 inches, and try and hold it there in sort of an isometric, and then either complete the lift or let it come down to the safety bars. I'll repeat this exercise 3 to 5 times. It's very important that we set this up so that if you can't control the weight, because holding it there for 5 seconds is exhausting the muscles, that you can get it set on the safety bar and climb out. Now I have the safeties set up about 2 inches above my chest. With Smith's machine bench press for this type of exercise, it can be quite difficult to get under the bar in position when it's very low like that. So I've set it up higher at a weight I know I can handle on the upper range of motion of the bench press, and I'm going to lower it down to the safeties and see if I can return it or budge it as before. See, I've identified that coming just off my chest is my weak point in the lift. So yes, I can't return it, so this is where I'm weakest, and I'll try and go for a second budge. So by doing this, I've identified where I need to work the most on my bench press to get my lift off from the chest stronger, so I can handle the heavier weight throughout my range of motion. So I have it loaded with a weight I know I could lift at my near full range. This is sort of mid-range, and I'll see if I can lift or budge it. So I was able to get that one to full extension, so I'll increase the weight and see if I can max out. So at that range, I could just barely budge it, get a good isometric hold for 5 seconds, and so identify that that is maybe one of my sticking points. One component of increasing strength that's often neglected is isometrics. Isometrics where you are holding full muscle contraction but without moving through the range of motion. I find it's quite useful if I'm having, let's say, pain in a joint. So a period of time when I can avoid the range of motion, which might be really hurting that joint, I can just focus on getting stronger for a particular part. One problem with isometrics is you should exert a very high level of force, which psychologically can be very difficult to do if nothing's moving. So I like to do a strategy for my lifts, which I call it budge. I'm trying to budge the weight, even though I know I'm not going to move it very far, but that'll put me into an isometric hold it for only like 5 seconds or so, and you might repeat that twice. Isometrics can elevate your blood pressure, so you want to make sure that you have well-controlled blood pressure and clearance from your medical provider before engaging these. So I've loaded up the bar at a weight I typically could not lift. See if I can budge it off the supports and try and hold that budge for 5 seconds. Now suppose I can't even move it. The attempt to move it is the same. It's an isometric. So let's see how it goes. Well, I was able to move it and hold it, so I'm going to go up to a weight I'm pretty sure I can't lift. So another 5-second budge. Well, surprised myself on that one. So to continue with this, I'm going to unload the weights, lower the bar 3 or 4 inches, and work on that range of motion to can see where I can identify my weakest point in the bench press. One concept to understand in powerlifting, you're only as strong as your weakest point in a lift. Meaning, if you are very weak, let's say at the very deep position in the squat, that's the maximum weight you can lift, even though you might be significantly stronger somewhere up in that range. So to try and work on this, first you have to identify where you're weakest. So using bench press as an example, I've set up some weight on a Smith bar, which is pretty close to my upper range of motion. And I'll go through this to see if I can move this weight up to full extension, or if I'm having difficulty with it. What I like about Smith machine is I have the safety set up so that if I fail and can't even hook the weight back up, I'm in no danger. You want to go through your full routine on every lift, making sure that you're engaging all the muscles in your body, you're bracing, you're focused. no problem with that. I can go to a higher weight to see if I can reach my maximum on this, which might be good for gathering data. So with my hands to the side and parallel to each other, there's no tendency for the bar to roll, so that's a little bit easier on the hands and the calluses. Good preparation. Feet a little wider, shoulder a little bit apart, slightly pointed out. You want to brace your core, grab the bar, and your hips. And start with hip extension. And make sure all your muscles of your body are tight to do your deadlift. Exhale at the top. Brace as I'm going down. Hold my breath. An additional modification is to wear gloves for the deadlift, which again help with minimizing the calluses that you can develop. One issue with deadlifts is puts a significant pressure and requirement for a strong grip strength. The other thing is the bar has some significant calluses, and as you start lifting fairly heavy weight, the tendency for the bar to roll has a tendency to tear at those calluses. So there's a couple different things. One is to do the mixed grip, where you have one hand under the bar, one hand over the bar as you're doing your deadlift. The other is to practice with a hex bar, such as this, which is a good setup. It changes the positioning of the deadlift a little bit. Has handles set at either regular deadlift level, or if you rotate this up, you can get a slightly less deep deadlift. So that was my warm-up set. I'll progress this to increase the weight and then go into my sets of 5 repetitions for 5 additional sets. I completed my squat sets, 5 for 5, and doing a modest amount of weight. A couple things on the squat. It's very important to work on balance and stability to do squats properly. One advice is to do them on a slightly unstable surface. I wouldn't do them on something that's really unstable, but maybe about a half an inch or so of a foam padding to have you work on that core stability while you're lifting only light or moderate weights. So now moving on to my deadlift preparatory exercises. I have a setup here for a Romanian deadlift, which is a version of a straight leg deadlift. There is some bend in the knees, and basically you start the exercise with your full extended and then working on your hinge hip and lowering to somewhere below the knees, but not to the full ground. One component that's important in fitness training is called periodization, which means you change up your routine every 4 to 8 weeks. There's many different strategies for this, but basically if you're doing the same exercises every time, after a couple months your nervous system is adapted, your muscle system is adapted, and you don't progress. So you might maintain muscle tone, but you're not particularly getting stronger, and I actually don't think you're preventing sarcopenia, or loss of muscle fibers with age. The periodization, where you're stressing the system every couple months, learning a new routine, you might find a little bit discouraging because all of a sudden exercise is hard again. But that's the point, is you push yourself to where it's hard. Over 4 to 8 weeks, your body adapts, it's not so hard anymore, and then you move on to a new cycle. So for me, having 2 months until my next meet, I'm going to do 4 weeks of doing my major lifts with strategy of 5 repetitions, working on form, and all the different aspects that go into a proper lift, and do again 5 repetitions for somewhere between 5 to 7 sets, increasing the weight modestly between each set, but not working towards my maximum lifts at all. In the second 4 weeks, change that up a bit more to where I'm doing fewer repetitions, maybe 3 repetitions, getting to 80, 90, 100% of my maximum, once or twice a week. So going to some squats, starting with a modest weight for me, aiming for 5 repetitions. Just the camera on this. One of the reasons I video record these is so I can monitor my performance and technique. Still feeling a little tired from my powerlifting meet, so I'll increase the weight only modestly, maybe 5 or 10 pounds, and try and get work onto my next sets. So for working, starting, just a warm up with some marching in place. The slower you go, the more this is going to work on your balance. And just do some arm circles. I like to start off at a low, like 45-degree angle, thinking about my shoulder blades, trying to bring them down and together to open up my shoulder space, protect the rotator cuff. And you can progress this by coming up to a more horizontal arm circle. Then I like to reverse direction. I don't really count reps for my warm-ups, just doing until my muscles start to get a little bit tired. Then let's bring with our palms up. And the whole idea is to just get my heart rate up a little bit, get my muscles warmed up, to reverse with palms up, and again a progression up towards more horizontal. I like to do some trunk twists, kidney slaps, where my hand just slaps my back over my kidneys. to do some box squats without any weight. Just nice and slow. Working on our posture. Thinking about the muscles that are moving and exerting during this. One way to increase strength is to slow down the eccentric part of the move. You can still do the concentric. So the eccentric is where the muscles are actually lengthening. So for a curl, it's as the hands are going down. For a squat, it's as your body is going down. Concentric is when the muscles are contracting, and so on a squat, it's as you're coming up. On the curl, as you're raising up. So the strategy to increase strength is to slow the eccentric or the eccentric. Power up. Taking my wooden bar. This primarily to increase a little bit of dynamic stretching in my shoulders. Again, the wooden bar, much more comfortable behind my neck as I open up my shoulders and get them stretched out. I can roll it until I get it resting on the trapezius, upper back muscles, and do a few box squats with this. Slow eccentric, explosive concentric. And using the same bar and some trunk twists. Warming up the spine and hips. For this workout, make sure you have a source of water and a towel. Again, when you're lifting for power, it can be pretty intense as you get up into heavier weights. So gauge your own exertion level. Try and not get higher than a 7 or 8 on perceived exertion scale. You can always modify exercises by doing less weight, or progress by doing more weight or more repetitions. Welcome to this edition of Silver Sneakers Boom Muscle. So I'm a few days after my first powerlifting event with Senior Olympics, and I have about 2 months until my first event with USA Colorado Powerlifting. The event went well. I didn't fail on any of my lifts except for my last deadlift, where I was trying to lift a record for me. I got it off the ground, couldn't get it up all the way at 415 pounds. Looking through the USA Powerlifting records, the 415 pounds is only 35 pounds away from the American record for my division, which is over 70 and 110 kilograms. So my goal is to try and reach that record in 6 months. So I don't expect to be able to do it at my next event, but hope to get a successful lift at about 415 and with the deadlift, and improve my bench press and squat by about 10%. Not a huge improvement, but something, and to work towards that. So for my workouts and these videos, I'm going to continue to work on the 3 basic powerlifting moves, the squat, bench press, and deadlift, as well as increasing my strength in the stabilizing muscles with these accessory exercises. And for the action intervals, I'm doing zone 2 cardio, so that's like walking at a brisk pace, an elliptical machine, not doing so many of the high intensity intervals, maybe a couple of them in a workout, but mostly trying to do that to improve cardiovascular fitness and maybe lose a little bit of body fat. I'm not trying to lose a lot of weight, trying instead to gain a little bit of muscle.